All right, I said I needed a break, but there's a player here who, just came in. It'd be nice to give them a chance to see the video. So, Dr. Chipmunk and Matt here squaring off. Matt seems to be on a red-green. Is it the werewolf stuff from, or Savage, I guess? Oh, well, the cards are gone, so it's a little hard for me to mouse them over again. Let's see what gets picked up here. It looks like the Wolf or the Werewolf deck from Innistrad, which is really fitting considering Matt is the designer of the Innistrad set. So that's really cool. On the other side, we've got Dr. Chipmunk here. I'm assuming this is going to be Druids. So this is more like the Valier deck. So both sets that just came into the format added some pretty strong typal-based decks. And there's, especially with Druids, there's other Druids in the format before it. So there's actual coverage here for these typals. There's some like really crazy cards like Voice of the Old Grove. Whenever lands enter, put a counter on a creature you control. If you've got 8 or more lands in play or in your graveyard, it's 3 counters instead. There's one of the execs that's just absolutely nuts when it comes to giving landfall triggers. Pardon me. So that's the thing with the Druids. Druids are all about getting these land drops and being ancient, so having tons of land in play. So that's pretty much what we're going to see here. We're going to do our usual mouse over, at least over every card, just a little bit. So Setral Shaper is one of those legends that can transform into a Planeswalker. So here you go. If ever you need to pause to check out the abilities, there's a lot of cool things. And yeah. Over on Matt's side, I mouse over a few of them, but here's a Dark Thicket Howler. It's a 2/3 mana dork that has the Savage payoff of letting Savage creatures draw a card. Savage just means if it's transformed or if it has power greater than its base power. So pretty cool stuff all around. We've got Arlen's Kindred up here. We've got Profane Invoker, one of the werewolves. We've got the usual Blade Flourish, and then the format's premium mana dork in Husk Forger Acolyte. So Profane Invoker is a 3/2 haste for 3. When it enters or transforms, you can discard your hand to draw 2 cards, and it's got the classic werewolf trigger of if no spells were cast last turn, you get them on Dronin Bloodcaster, which is a 4/3 that when it attacks, you can exile an instant or sorcery with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard and cast a copy for free. Good stuff all around. And what's nice about Arlen's Kindred is that the second mode here on the Flash is, I mean, Hexproof is cool, but just transform a wolf or a werewolf, that's really nice. All right, so Matt's drawn, hasn't played a land out yet. There's Urban Jungle here in the hand. Coming in untapped, I'm going to run out Husk Forger Acolyte, and then paying 3 for the Profane Invoker. So 3/2 haste. Pitching both cards that were in the hand and drawing 2. Finds the Lonely Cabin, so these are one of the new Behold lands. So if you're playing Wolf and Werewolf, this is an untapped card pretty often. And a Fangrite Mistress. 2/1 flash, when it enters, it deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of spells all of your opponents have cast this turn. Neat. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, you get the Transform. That turns into a 3/2 that puts a counter on each other Wolf and Werewolf you control. So great stuff. And I mean, it might seem kind of niche, but when the whole point is about no spells being cast and your opponent's trying to play around it, or if it's the opposite, right? After playing a lot of stuff, to ensure that no spells were cast ensure that there are spells that were cast last turn, sorry, Mistress punishes them for it. So, honestly, great stuff all around. Setral Shaper, so landfall, loyalty counter goes on it, and then Surveil. All of these legends have a similar structure. They have a way of getting loyalty counters on them while they're a creature, and then they have an off-color ability that puts a single loyalty counter on them, and then they transform. So good stuff all around. Here's Umber Grove Tender. It's the Risen Reef for the Druids, and when it or another Druid enters, look at the top card. If it's a land, it goes onto the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, it goes to your hand. Great stuff. There's that exec I was talking about, the one that's really nuts with Voice of the Old Grove. It's a 5/5 Trampler for 5. When it enters or attacks, Surveil 3, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So cards like Primal Fissure and the other fetch lands, more like the Evolving Wilds, type lands, have a way of getting a lot of lands into the yard. And of course, if you're surveilling, and the druids do a lot of surveilling, you're going to just naturally have lands in there too, which works perfectly because, hey, you want 8 lands total between your board and your yard. So there's a Fangrite Mistress. And then it looks like we're paying 3 for, is it another Profane Invoker? Only damages if you played spells, so no damage. Oh, cool. There we go. Discard hand, draw 2. When your hand is empty, drawing lands, drawing 2 off of these things is pretty cool. Opponent's got 2 3s and 1 1s. You're willing to trade into that Shaper. You don't want that thing turning into a Planeswalker, but, I mean, looks like Dr. Chipmunk is perfectly happy to trade it away. Got plenty of creatures in hand, though, let's be honest, between Lay Fuse, Voice of the Old Grove, a second Setral Shaper, Loresk, Ever Curious. There's just a lot of creatures and bodies here in this hand. 2 lands is a little unfortunate. It would have been nice maybe to see some removal or something else to push through, but yeah. So, fun fact, Werewolves were one of my favorite decks way back when Innistrad originally released. I thought it was one of the coolest thing ever. It's pretty much what started, started the whole trend that I actually buy sleeves for my cards. Before, I didn't have a lot of value and stuff, so I didn't really have too many sleeved cards, but when you play double-face cards, you don't really have a choice unless you want to play with, like, 20-something checklist cards, which would be a little silly. Anyway, here's Voice of the Old Grove. Land coming in afterwards. There is 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at 5 out of 8 for Ancient. Kraken response to the Umber trigger. Voice goes up to a 2/2. Umber trigger triggers. Look at the top card. If it's a land, it goes into play. Another trigger goes up to a 3/3. If you were Ancient, that would have been even more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to be at 8 next turn, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, we're going to be at 7 and then 8 because that's going to go get another one. So, will be Ancient. Umber Grove Tender doing nice things. This isn't limited to just once per turn. So, if you can keep getting those lands in, you're doing great. And, I mean, what's the worst that happens is the card goes to your hand, right? So, a second Aurora Buffer Exec in the hand. A lot of good things here. Okay, Clearwater Grotto. Grows again. There's a Surveil happening first. And we're putting the counter on Setral Shaper instead of on Voice. 3/4 is a good point here. Your opponents are attacking with 3 2s and 2 3s, but having a 3/3 and a 3/4 up is pretty relevant. Matt, unfortunately, drawing into another land here is not ideal. None of them have cycling. The good news is by passing, your 2 werewolves are going to grow pretty strong, right? You're going to get, what was this again? A 3/2. Whoops. But it puts a +1/+1 counter on each other. And this one's going to flip into a 4/3, which is going to become a 5/4. So, all right. Upkeep, transform triggers. Profane and Fangrite. I guess waiting to see if there's a anything in response, but I mean, I think you're good to go here. I think there's like a token. There it is. So Mondronan Bloodcaster. Is it when it transforms into? No, this is when it attacks. I think it's the backside that when it transforms back into. Yeah. So even if the opponent double casts to get rid of your flipped werewolves, you know. I think I have that cockatrice update. I think I have the fact that we're seeing the little transform buttons. I think is is one of the things we have. Older cockatrices require you to play out these tokens and stuff, which isn't necessarily ideal. It's a little clunky and it adds things to the board, but it is what it is. So there we go. +1 counter on each other wolf and werewolf. So 5/4, 3/4, and then all these things are savage now because they all have base power, or they have power greater than their base power. So, and there is the Husk Forger trick available, which is something to keep in mind. You can block, tap, spend 6, turn into a 5/5. It's really, really good that you can do that at instant speed. And if people aren't paying attention, it can definitely trick you up. All right. Dr. Chipmunk is thinking a little bit. Looks like we're cracking some lands. We are at Ancient now. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in total. That means that we're going to grow pretty big, all the way up to 6/6. Central Shaper is going to trigger. Going to Surveil again. Up to 2 loyalties. Looks like it was an Umber Grove Tender. It's going to get binned. A lot of stuff in hand, honestly. Like Aurora Buffer Exec is here. Surveil 3, return all land cards. Like, that's going to bring back the 2 Primal Fissures. I mean, that's 6 more counters. So, but here, Forest. 3 counters. Still on Voice. Interesting. I don't know if, I mean, if your opponent's on red-green, they're probably not pointing a straight removal spell. That's definitely something to keep in mind. Ordinarily, I think you might want to share a little bit just because of the amount of attackers. But there's so much that you can do here. 4 mana. So here's Lay Fused. 4 mana. It's a 4/4 Vigilance Reach. You can cast spells as though they had flash. At the beginning of your end step, you untap all lands you control if you're ancient. So pretty gross stuff. I mean, the advantage here is squarely in Dr. Chipmunk's side. The fact that you can flash in all these things is super, super gross. Doesn't have the mana right now to do Aurora or Loresque, but just the fact that you untap everything means you will be able to just drop this in during your opponent's turn. And that's a bit of a nasty surprise. So that resolves. I mean, there's nothing in Matt's hand that can deal with it. Grove Tender is going to trigger. Draws a Shape the Pattern, which searches for a basic land card. And if you're ancient, instead, you can search for a creature or land card, which is great. Looks like we're going to be activating Central Shaper. So puts a loyalty counter, transforms into, as long as you're ancient, you can activate the loyalty abilities of Juni twice each turn rather than only once. +1 is Surveil 1, draw a card, so you could do that twice. 0, tap target non-land permanent, put a stun counter on it, or -2, create an XX creature token where X is the number of lands you control. I mean, that's just pretty nasty. And yep, 4 toughness. There you go. Going to use the 0 to tap, stun, tap, and stun. Boy, that is not ideal. I mean, Voice is just a straight up 9/9 here. And it has Vigilance, right? Yeah, it sure does. Oh boy, that's really nasty. Cast an Airy, but was that... There it is. Is it on end step too? Oh boy, it's the beginning of your end step. So you can then use Aurora. So now there's 2 spells that were cast. So these werewolves are gonna get smaller. It does mean that your opponent gets to pitch their hand and draw 2 cards, which could be an interesting out depending on stuff. But I mean, this is just gonna be such a gross card. How many lands are in the yard right now? There's the 2 Primal Fissures, but there could be more with the Surveil 3. There's a lot of waiting here for priority and passes. I mean, last night, red and green doesn't interact much on the stack. I know there's like, are you pointing removal at my things when I cast things? So I know why this is happening, but it is what it is. So it was Teeming Secrets, Voice of the Old Grove, and an Aurora Buffer exec were binned. 2 lands hit the field. Well, actually, a Druid and then lands. So Aurora is already an 11/11 trample. I mean, I don't know what the werewolves are going to do, but, good luck on your turn. Husk Forger, yep, we knew that was a possibility. Not sure just going up to a 5/5 is going to be enough. Those 2 spells cast, so they get smaller. Pitch the Hand of Land. Draw 2. Hey, we're seeing some new cards. Let's see what we got. We have Lunar Blind Packmasters, a 3-mana wolf. Flash 2/4 that enters tapped. When it enters, it deals 2 damage to any target. And it can't attack or block unless it attacks or blocks with another savage creature. Huh, pretty interesting stuff here. And then Secluded Recluse is a 1/1 hexproof while it's tapped. When it transforms into Secluded Recluse, you have to tap it and put a stun counter on it. But I think it turns into a 3/2. When it transforms into Unleashed Terror, you untap it. Not enough here. The Druid Ramp deck did Druid Ramp things and just got a little too big. All right, we're back with game 2. That's a decent hand right off the bat. 3 lands, Blade Flourish, Fangrite, Howler, and Night Pack. I'd be pretty happy with a hand like that. Night Pack particularly is really nasty. 2/1 that can't block, sure, but whenever a creature control transforms, put a counter on it. Nice. Over on Dr. Chipmunk's side, we're also keeping 7. 4 lands with a Shape the Pattern or Root Fossil, and then Ursus Minora. 3/2, whenever land you control enters, it gets +1/+1, and gains trample until end of turn. Great stuff. Oh, also drew into an Auror. What a payoff. Night Pack not being able to block will be decently relevant, I would imagine, but, I mean, Fangrite, or there's plenty of other stuff that can do quite a lot here. So we run out the Primal Fissure before it has to start entering tapped. And then Embers of a New Moon, is this the one? Yeah, so it's exile the top 2, and you can play them until the end of your next turn, but you have to behold a wolf or a werewolf or pay 2. And there's plenty of wolves and werewolves here, so that is not an issue. Dark Ticket Howler comes out, no surprise, 2/3 that ramps and has a card draw, so we're already at 1, 2, 3. It'll be 4 on the next turn. 2 damage here with Night Pack Alpha. It's nice to see some werewolf gameplay. Ursus coming out, 3/2. Not bad. The fact that, when you're going to drop lands, it's going to get +1/+1 and trample, so. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. It's not bad, obviously. I don't know. Are we going to see a frag or a second? Yeah, okay. 4 damage to target creature or destroy an artifact. Frag just has a lot of good modes here. Opening up for the attack is pretty relevant here. 4 damage in total. You've got Profane Invoker on the next turn. Or Dark Thicket Howler and a Blade Flourish, or Fangrite Mistress and a Blade Flourish. There's a few options. On this side, Root Fossil can be cashed in to Surveil 3 and put a land that was surveilled onto the battlefield tapped, but you're not getting to Aurora this turn. So that's going to be, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potential damage. There's going to be a lot of damage coming in, and a lot of it's going to come in pretty fast. So Dr. Chipmunk definitely has to think a little bit about how the mana is going to be spent this turn. All right, pretty simple. Looks like Primal Fissure was played, and then we're passing it up. So not much. I mean, this is instant speed, right? So you don't have to crack the Root Fossil until it's the opponent's turn. Looks like we're running out the Howler first. Okay, cool. 2 mana open means you can do Fangrite or a Blade Flourish. I mean, Fangrite's got flash, so you can definitely do it either at the end of the opponent's turn or, yeah. There's lethal next turn now. So again, Root Fossil, surveilling 3. We are not able to see them because we are just humble spectators, but it is what it is. One of the land cards that you surveil this way go onto the battlefield tapped. And for those wondering, it flips into a Reborn Lily, which just essentially does the same effect whenever it attacks. You surveil 3 land card that you surveilled from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. What a common, honestly. Looks like we found a Forgotten Foundation, so enters tap, doesn't matter. You get to surveil 1 off of it. That's quite nice. Looks like another Root Fossil was binned, or no? No, that's the one that we saw. It looks like we binned something else here. Teeming Secrets. Chops. Ah, no. The card was left on top. That's the interesting thing. Drawing into Voice of the Old Grove. Never bad. Played a Forest out. Or fetched the Forest out. Played Desolate Thicket. Here's Aurora. 5/5. Surveil 3. Return all land cards from the graveyard to the battlefield. And there is 1, 2, 3 already in there. So let's see what the Surveil does. Wow, we got quite a few more. Whoa, 5 lands just enter the battlefield tapped. Thicket lets you surveil 1. These are really good, the fact that these lands enter and let you surveil 1. And if not, you can have it untapped, which is even cooler. So Thickets are cool. They can only be used, though, if you've got 7 or more cards in your graveyard. But, I mean, in the meantime, just the amount of ramp was big. So Fangrite here, pinging for 1. The only spell that was cast was Aurora Buff Exec. Dr. Chipmunk's already at 6. Could be at 4 because of the Blade Flourish and is tapped out. I mean, that's, yeah, I was going to say that's a GG on this one. You've got enough bodies on the board to just swing out, and that's a win. Matt, Chipmunk already conceded. All right, looks like we're going to a game 3. That's always fun. As you know, they're my favorite. And here we are, game 3. Both players are ready to rock. Looks like we're keeping full hands. That's always great. 2 flexible lands here. Yeah. Voice, Strike, Setral Shaper, Ursus, Aurora. Okay, a lot of 2 drops, which is nice. And because you don't have a 1 drop, you're more than happy to throw out the Forgotten Foundation out here early. And over on Matt's side, it's Alpha, Howler, very similar to the last match, of course. Last game. One big difference here that I can see is we are not quite with the same 3 drops. There's a few more lands here, so hopefully we don't draw too many. Matt doesn't draw too many more of those. Early Night Pack Alpha, though, always nice. Up to 2 forests. We're going to drop the Setral Shaper. 2/3 is just a nice stat line to have against a 2/1. I think it's Dark Thicket first. I don't know if there's a... Yeah, I mean, that's what I would be doing too. You can use Embers later when you're out of stuff to do in your hand. Okay, Clearwater Grotto, 3rd mana. Not irrelevant. Could be pay 2... Oh, but you're green right now, so you can't actually put out Voice of the Old Grove before you play the land, which is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. You get to surveil 1 off of Setral Shaper. It looks like the card was kept on top, and then 2 mana, it's an Ursus Minor, and then shape the... Oh, I forgot there was Momentous Strike, and that's just damage? Yeah, okay, there you go. 3 damage with Ursus Minor. Great stuff here. Nightpack Alpha can't block, but it looks like we're keeping the Shaper on the defense here. Starting off with the Embers here, in this case, trying to dig for something else. Bleeding Out requires 2 red, I believe, but there is Blade Flourish, so you can drop any of your duels and at least deal 2 damage to the Ursus. And I do believe you still have access to until your next turn. Yep, so you will have access to a Bleeding Out. One of the interesting things that you could do right now is transform Setral Shaper, even though it goes into a... Oh, well, no, that also hits Planeswalkers, doesn't it, huh? You could be at 4 lands and you can make a 4/4, right? 2 in a blue puts a loyalty counter on Setral and transforms her. And then -2, you get a 4/4, which is Bleeding Out proofed. I don't know. There's other stuff you can do this turn. I mean, Voice of the Old Grove, play a land, shape the pattern is also quite nice. You can get your Setral to 4 toughness if you want to keep it around. You just run the risk of having your opponent bleed out your Voice of the Old Grove, which that's not ideal. Is that what we're doing here? Okay, looks like we're going with Voice. Probably going to run out the Thicket. Thicket surveils. Get another surveil and get a counter. So saving your Setral Shaper. Yep, surveilling twice first. And obviously surveil 1 twice is not the same as surveil 2, so Aurora gets binned. Okay, yeah, it's a little too expensive, and you've already got another one in the hand. I'm not sure you want to have just Auroras in hand. And a Desolate Thicket gets put on top of the library. Good stuff. Counter's going to go on Setral Shaper. It's going to bring it up to a 3/4. Going to be just outside of Bleeding Out range. And I don't think Fangrite goes to creatures. I think it's always to your opponents. Yeah. I mean, your Nightpack Alpha isn't swinging yet. Thing about Bleeding Out is... Oh, well... The thing about Bleeding Out is you have to use it next turn, otherwise it runs out of juice, right? So... a lot of Howlers. So you want to use the Bleeding Out. You can throw it at the Old Grove. Yep, that's what I would do as well. 2 damage goes to the opponent. First Blood, swing for 2, 16. It's not blocking, so you might as well throw things out. And a Dark Thicket Howler, 2/3. That Setral is slowly going to grow, but, you know. There's the Desolate Thicket that was parked on top of the library. There are 7 cards in the graveyard now, so those can actually be used. Not that it's going to matter, because it's Aurora buff exec time with 2 lands, and we'll see how many more get added after the surveil. I won't lie, this deck is really interesting. I'm hoping it does 4/1 or 5/0, just so it hits the deck lists. It would be really nice for it to get a to get some recognition out there. I just really like the ramp. Okay, looks like a Temple of Origins, and then Collector's Item back on top. Brings back 3 lands. You got 3 land triggers, so Surveil 1, and Surveil 1. So you're going to go up to 5 loyalty. Yep. That's a lot of Surveil. But keeping on top. Okay. Makes sense. Can you imagine if Voice of the Grove had still been here? Oh my gosh. I think Master's going to take 3 damage here. I don't think you chump block with a Dark Thicket Howler. There we go. 14/14. I mean, Chipmunk definitely has more stuff on the board, and the fact that Ancient is up, Shape the Pattern, can now go get any creature. So can go get a Voice of the Old Grove or something else that's really gross, because this is when it attacks as well. So could be really gross. Profane's coming out. 3/2 haste. Pitch. Draw 2. Night Pack Alpha and Embers of a New Moon. I'm assuming we're going to get Embers. I'm going to keep digging. There's Blade Flourishing. That's a new one. Curse of the Searing Ground. Can't be countered. Enchant player. Damage dealt to the enchanted player can't be prevented. And whenever a player taps a non-basic land for mana, the aura deals 1 damage to them. That's pretty gross. Especially if your opponent's... I mean, there's only 2 basic lands here right now. I mean, obviously the Primal Fissure hasn't been cracked, but... like, these will become basics, but... it has to be tap a non-basic land for mana, so... It's going to be hard weaving that in. Your opponent's got a 5/5, going to have a 3/4. Could be a lot worse very, very soon. Okay. Attacking for 3. I think you just have to let the 3 go. I mean, you're not going to block with Aurora, are you? Or do you block, take out the Profane Invoker, and then next turn you're going to shape the pattern for another Aurora? No. I don't think that makes sense. The fact that... Oh, hold up. Is that what we're doing? I mean, the Blade Flourish is face up. It's revealed. Okay, taking 3. 11 life is still reasonable, so there's another Night Pack Alpha. So here, depends on what is drawn. Ooh, collector's item. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and becomes a sculpture with base power and toughness 0/2, and you surveil when it enters. Very nice. But these can crack for stuff, but I think you shape the pattern. Are we just going to go and find a Voice of the Old Grove? Yep, we are finding a Voice of the Old Grove. Going to play the Voice of the Old Grove. Going to crack both of those lands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still 7, 8. And the fact that they're cracked and they're back in the yard. Oh, that's so gross. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counters. We're at an 11, 11. When this attacks, you're going to get another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those can't block, so you can only soak up 3 with a Dark Thicket Howler, right? Night Packs can't block. This thing putting 3 counters sure is something. Yep, it really is. It's kind of gross. And very gross. I'm thinking we're either going to see a concede here or, you know, just the attack is going to do the thing. So, I mean, you can even do more, right? You've got 3 mana. You can crack a Desolate Thicket, put a counter on all your creatures, and then get 3 lands back. So, I mean, one player's got to finish the other one off, right? If Matt's not conceding... Yep. Because it's going to be what? 11 plus 11 minus 3 plus 3, right? So is the win happening, or let's see what Matt says. Okay. Okay, we're going to rewind a bit because there is a window to cast with the fetch triggers. So Primal Fissure and Forgotten Foundation. So like, yeah, you throw the Blade Flourish. It takes out Voice of the Old Grove, but you're still going to get 3 counters because in response, the other Forgotten Foundation is going to fire off. So you're going to get 1, 2, 3, then 4. Only goes up to 9. It's a little bit different. Yeah, Thicket can also be cracked here. That adds a counter to the board. Sacking the land gives you 7. Yep. Too many fetch lands in the format. Really? Interesting. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of like fetches, like a lot of evolving wild rifts. I can see that that could be something that's a little bit of a stack issue when it comes to the exec. But it was what Forgotten Foundation got added, and I think we already had evolving wilds and stuff like that. But yeah, a little bit of lack of interaction. But I mean, the opening hand was still the beaters that you normally would want. But yeah, drawing into the rest didn't really pay off as much as I'm sure Matt would have wanted to. Still, pretty cool showing from a really fun typo, and Druid's continuing to put on a really good performance there. So that's a deck that I hope to keep seeing, and maybe a deck that I'm interested in piloting myself. So we'll see in the future.